job right when I got out of high school. I would say that I like it because of the hustle and bustle. I'm never really bored. There's always something to do. And then I really like the customer aspect of it.
I think Meraki attracts absolutely every kind of customer you can imagine. We get a lot of students, lots of families, a ton of people that are traveling from out of town that are like driving up and down the coast.
Even older people, like age range really doesn't matter. I feel like coffee shops are used a lot for just a way to get out of the house and to like go study, because a lot of people don't want to study at home or they don't have Wi-Fi, so they have to study somewhere else. Business meetings, just meeting up with a friend even. I also think a ton of people are just addicted to caffeine.
We've had a lot of people come in on first dates and we're always like kind of like behind the counter, we're like, oh, like that's totally a first date. We get a lot of work from home people recently, ever since like the pandemic, or if they have questions. We get a lot of people that come in and they want directions to literally anywhere in town, like, or they'll be like, hey, can I use your phone? And they're like not even a customer, they just like know that it's a good place to get directions or use a phone. I think some coffee shops are accessible to everybody. I think some aren't. A lot of coffee shops have really like small, narrow spaces because they're trying to fit in a lot of tables because they're trying to keep up with business. So sometimes like wheelchair regulations aren't really taken into consideration, or we get a lot of students that will like attach their cords across the floor and we'll be like, oh, like, hey, like we try to keep the walkway open so that people can get through. Also like the counter height can kind of be a big deal. We have like our iPad doesn't move, and sometimes we'll have customers come in that are like in a wheelchair and we'll have to be like, oh, like pressing the buttons for them sometimes. So I think there's always ways that businesses can be a little more accommodating. We have a lot of like regular customers, so we know like their name and we know their order and then like kind of like what they do during the week, and so it's a lot of conversations with them. I think one way that coffee shops can foster informed community is just by all of the regulars that come in like on a weekly or a daily basis. We have one regular that's been coming probably since we opened, and he walks around town all by himself. He's an older gentleman that's partially blind, and he used to sit all by himself all the time, and like now there's like 4 or 5 other regulars that will come in and they'll look for him and they'll ask about him, and you'll look over and they're all just having a conversation and talking and laughing, and none of them have previously interacted or like know who each other are, and they're very obviously from different walks of life, but they've kind of formed a little friendship around him. Other than the free coffee, I think the best part about working at Meraki specifically is our coworkers. I've never had an environment where the coworkers are all friends before. I think some of my favorite memories in the coffee shop have been just a lot of our employees are like, they'll come in on their off days, and so like if somebody like has something special or important happen in their lives, they'll like come into the shop all excited and they just like want to tell all their coworkers. I think it's really fun.